Hey, horror fans, once again, it's the Horror Miser Monty G. Yes, time to do another movie review, and today we're going to review the movie Polaroid. Yes, remember that one? Now, before we begin the review, I want to pay my condolences to a good friend on Killer Flicks, Dylan Clancy. Unfortunately, we found out last week on Killer Flicks, his aunt posted a post up saying unfortunately he had passed away, I think on the 9th of May, if I'm not mistaken. Dylan was a huge horror fan, was a great, good personal, good friend, loved horror. So for this review, I will dedicate this review for him, and he will slowly be missed. Now, Polaroid is a 2019 supernatural horror film. It was directed by Lars Klingberg. It's also based upon his 2015 short story of the same name. This is written by Blair Butler. This stars Catherine Prescott, Tyler Young, Samantha Logan, and Mitch Spaghetti. Now, this film was supposed to be released back in 2017, but it got put on the shelf because of the Harvey Weinstein fiasco. But it finally did get released, and I actually was given a special screening to see it. So here's what I had to think about Polaroid. Now, high school owner Bird Fisher has no idea what dark secrets are tied to a mysterious Polaroid vintage camera she stumbles upon, but it doesn't take long to discover that those who have their pictures taken from that camera will meet a very tragic and deadly end. Yes, that's basically what this premise is about. Now, as I stated before, this was originally scheduled to come out in 2017. The film was pushed back several times. After the Harvey Weinstein fiasco, Dimension pulled almost all their films from this Thanksgiving Day release, because it was also produced by his production company as well. And it sat on the shelf for I don't know how long, and then news came out that Netflix was going to release it to streaming services. Like I said, I was able to get a special screening of it, and they spiked the PG-13 rating, and your typical young actresses and actresses in their mid-20s playing teenagers. I actually kind of enjoyed this film. Like I said, typical young teenagers making dumb decisions and some terrible CGI and a lack of blood and gore. But, this actually was not a bad horror movie. Like I said before, I kind of enjoyed it. Now, after a cold opening where the movie shows what happens to you when you get your picture taken by this camera, we're introduced to Bird Fletcher. She's a loner high school girl who's going through something because you can tell she keeps to herself. She loves cameras because she loves taking pictures, and while working in the antique shop, her co-worker shows her a vintage 1973 Polaroid camera. Yes, it's the same camera that we saw in the beginning of the film. I remember those cameras back in the day, and they were very popular too. Now, she takes this picture with the camera, so we all know what's going to happen to him. And later on, at a costume party with her best friend Casey and some of their classmates, she takes pictures of them as well with that Polaroid. Uh-oh, you know what's going to happen then. Now, when her friends start dying, Bird and her friends must come together and figure out what this camera is and what the entity is that wants them all dead. They have to do this little investigation in order to find out what the hell is going on with this camera, why is it wants to kill people, and where did the camera come from? Now, first off, this is your standard PG-13 horror movie for teenagers. As I say at the beginning, you have your typical teenage cast here where they make dumb decisions and do dumb things like shouting out, "Who's there?" or going to a place where the weird noise is coming from. There's little to no blood, and if you're a gore hound thinking you're going to see some nice gore, you ain't going to see shit here. There's nothing new or fresh to this story either. It's your typical haunted device formula where we have a cursed Polaroid camera. I mean, this feels like an extended episode of Friday the 13th, the series. When the cousins and their friend go after cursed objects. It's like the filmmakers copied other PG-13s like Wish Upon or Truth or Dare. Now, while those two films failed miserably, this one's not as bad. And thank you some nice cinematography. And I was kind of entertained by this one. It's not a bad horror picture. Now, some of the scenes look very dark and scary, and it gives the right atmosphere and fills the room with dread, like something bad is going to happen, and most of the time it does. Another good thing I liked about this film, it doesn't have cheap jump scares like we normally get in these PG-13 movies. Now, you also have to give credit to Catherine Prescott. She's pretty good as Bird. Now, while the script is bland and cliched at times, Catherine gives Bird the type of qualities you want to see in this type of character. She's sad when her friends start dying, and she kind of blames herself because she's such a loner. And of course, we understand that something bad happened to her, and we get some type of backstory as to why that happens. But she's resourceful enough to, when it's time to start to do their investigating into the camera. Although it's somewhat like a Buffy or a Scooby Doo on the lines. The rest of the cast is just fodder. We have no character development with them, and we just don't care what happens to them when they start getting picked off. One of the main problems I do have with this film is the look of the entity itself. Despite the great setup the filmmakers do at times to make it look scary, but when we do finally see it, it looks terrible. It's bad enough with the bad CGI that they use, but when you get close up of it, it looks like a bad reject of the Dementors from Harry Potter and the Prison of Azkaban. I mean, come on, guys. You got some money to try to make it look somewhat decent, but God, and again, if this had an R rating, maybe it would have been much more enjoyable. I could look past how terrible he looks because he does do some damage to these kids, but again, lack of blood, because it's PG-13, they all think teenagers are going to see it. Oh, God. So, like I said before, despite some of the bad CGI setup and the typical cliche characters that we get and this typical PG-13 horror picture, I actually did enjoy the film. It's quite enjoyable. It's not as bad as Wish Upon or Truth or Dare. I think a lot of people will enjoy this film. So, the Horror Miser is going to open up his vault. And I'm going to give Polaroid 2 out of my 5 gold coins. Yes, going to get 2 out of my 5 gold coins. Yeah, it's not bad. It's almost even better. Like, I know Ouija is one I actually kind of like, and that's somewhat similar. I think I like this one better than Ouija. So, my horror fans, what do you think about Polaroid? Have you seen it? Do you think this is another cheap, bad PG-13 teenage horror picture that they crank out every now and again? Or do you actually find some redeeming qualities you did enjoy it? Leave your comments down in your comment section below and tell me what you thought about Polaroid. So that's my video for the day, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, give it a thumbs up because it does help the channel out a lot. And once again, this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way you can come and enjoy the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. And as always, all my social media links will be down in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, horror rules. Once again, I will dedicate this video and this review to my good friend Dylan Clancy. You're going to be missed. I'll catch you guys later.